Good afternoon. Welcome to the D Line. I'm not your usual host. Malibongwe is off today and he's given me the reins. And yeah, let's hope we are going to do this very well. I am joined by the astute Mr. Herman Gibbs, the legend of South African sports journalism. And I see today he's rocking a very nostalgic Mr. Gibbs, Moroka Swallows Limited. Your jersey shows your age.
Yeah, well, the birds are flying, just like us. We
They
are
are.
flying the Bluebay birds.
Mihlali,
Bring
you
back the
see, I've
days
always
of
told
flying
you
days.
the greatest football club that's not around anymore, Moroka Swallows Limited, Mfana, you see.
Oh no! I'm now even reading with my eyes closed. I'm just like I feel so I don't know so young and
You're a
yeah.
babe. Yeah. Anyway, listen, gents, we are going into a great weekend really because this is the last dress rehearsal, I would say. Bafana's last match before we go to the Africa Cup of Nations. We are playing Zambia out in Baleka. Coach Hugo Bruce said in the build-up that this is not a friendly. We don't play friendlies anymore. He's taking it very seriously. But I mean, let's start with you, Mihlali. You've been with Bafana. What's your take of this match? I mean, we've seen the squad is announced. It's essentially the same squad, although there's two new guys in Keletso, Mahalwa, and Masindi Nemtajela. What's your expectation of this match?
I think, like you've rightfully pointed out, projects like in the beginning, to say that coach said that no, this won't be a friendly for him. He wants to win the game at all costs. He didn't mention that more importantly, he wants to remain in the top 10 in the CAF rankings, and also I think he wants to get momentum going for the players to actually when they reach the camp, because they will assemble for camp on the 8th of December. Of 8th of December, then that momentum will also have to go on to the other friendly that he wants to play just before they fly out to Morocco. So that becomes very important. But I think most important, like you've rightfully pointed out, is the fact that in as much as he wants to keep the camaraderie within the players, the cohesion and understanding on the pitch, he still wants to see Keletso Makgala together with Masindi Nemtajela, up close. And I think that's very important because he has to be also considerate of the fact that there might be eventualities that might come to the fore. Your injuries, form, and all that you might actually, put the spanner in the work when he finally, names that final squad. So for him to actually say that he wants to keep that momentum going, that winning streak, because we'll also look at the fact that I think Bafana not beaten the last 24 games. So taking that form to AFCON, where they will obviously be, I think, one of the underdogs now, given what they did in their last edition in Ivory Coast, it's very important.
Mr. Gibbs, you've covered the game for years and years. Do this kind of matches really matter in the bigger scheme of things? I mean, you're playing a friendly match ahead of the biggest tournament. I'm thinking, yes, players want to impress, but also there's that fear that, let me not get in too much lest I get injured and I miss out. I mean, from your experience of covering the game, do you see the boys going all out, or will they be saving themselves?
Look, I think things have changed very much, especially in terms of the way the players approach the game these days. There's so much at stake. The players are not only thinking of AFCON, they're also thinking about nailing their place in the squad for next year's World Cup. Of course, there is the natural fear of getting injured and then you're out on the sideline for a few months. But by and large, I don't think that's going to be the case. With this squad, Hugo Bruce has already said 80% of these players are the ones that are going to AFCON.
Yeah.
And 50% of them will be in the squad for the World Cup. So that leaves room for quite a few players. And also now with the lucrative office that comes with being in the squad, whether it be AFCON or World Cup, everybody wants to be in on it. So I think, although it's a friendly, there's not gonna be any room for tourism.
Yeah.
On Saturday. They will be playing out of their skins to make sure that Hugo Bruce has their name in the squad for Morocco.
Yeah. I mean, we are playing a Zambia team that has also qualified. They themselves are going to be trying to impress. Zambia have a new coach. They've just gotten rid of Avram Grant. They've got the new guy Sikone, a former player of the team. What does that dynamic do in terms of the kind of match we can expect when a Zambia team that has a new coach, but they too are looking to build up to the AFCON?
I think also I was looking at also a number of names that have been called up to the Zambian team, especially for this friendly, because like players like Petson Daka, who's actually based in England, there are a couple of names also that are based abroad, and I think they're not leaving in stone unturned. And also, like you've mentioned rightfully, that now Simon Sekone comes in after Avram Grant, and also he's someone who's also played for the team, and I think you'd want to impress. I think also it starts with him telling the players that if we're actually going to go to Zambia and actually make a mark for ourselves, we need to take games like this seriously, especially against a South African side that is actually now being like watched like a hawk across the continent. So for them now to actually put, I don't think they will actually want to put a foot wrong. They want to take that momentum going to AFCON. And also you look at the technical team that is assembled, is quite players that have played for the national team of Zambia. I think there's a lack of Kennedy Mweni, there's Joseph Musonda, and also Kennedy Mweni, you rightfully remember that he won AFCON with Zambia in 2012. So those players will have the hope that going to AFCON will want to go there and actually try to emulate whatever that we did in 2012. But then again, with the players that will actually be taken aboard when they actually go to Zambia. So I think whichever player that makes the Zambian squad now for this friend against Bafana will know that they have to put their best foot forward to actually make it a point that they are part and parcel of that 23 that will actually be going to AFCON next month.
Yeah, I mean, you speak of Kennedy Mweni. He's still based in South Africa. We've got quite a few players from Sundowns that he works with. He knows the league here at home. Is he a trump card for them? And is he going to be giving them the kind of information that can see Zambia beating us on Saturday?
Well, I think that he's bound to pass on some information. He's been around long enough. He has a lot of intelligence to offer the staff, which are, under a new man now, although the new man was the assistant to Avram Grant. So the staff will be familiar with him. But, I was thinking about the Zambia when we started this podcast, and my mind went back to the first time we played Zambia was back in May 1994.
Yeah.
And I was at the match. It was played at Ellis Park.
I remember that
and
match.
The match started late because the organizers were waiting for Nelson Mandela to arrive.
Yeah.
He was very, very late. And they couldn't wait any longer.
Yeah.
It was just after the days of the inauguration of the state president.
Yeah.
So the match was also part of the celebrations. Eventually, the great man arrived while the match was on. And then it was called up at halftime to meet the players, and we had an extended halftime.
Yeah.
And then after that, team scored 2 goals. Sorry, the team scored 2 goals and they went on to win the match.
Yeah.
So it was always said that it was as a result of Nelson Mandela's talk that the team went on to win.
Yeah.
And that was the birth of the Madiba Magic.
Yeah.
Quite a meaningful match.
It is. I mean, look, we have a history with Zambia. One of the things, as we've said, we've had quite a lot of their players coming to South Africa and doing very well. I mean, you think Zambia, you think Kalusha Bwalia, of course, but Collins Mbesuma, who was a superstar here. We've had the Musondas, a lot of them. There's this history between these two countries, and this match surely is going to be as big as a lot of us expect it to be. But I mean, coach has called Keletso Magalwa, he's called Masindi Nemtajela. It means he's been watching them. But how much does this match mean for these boys? I mean, it's one match. You have one match to impress. And my suspicion is he's not going to start them. He's likely to throw them in as substitute. Do you, Mihlali, foresee either of them impressing enough to eventually make the final squad?
To be quite honest, Project, I'm just looking at also where they're playing, the position that they're playing. I think Keletso plays, I think where Mdu is playing. You will remember that Mdu is not part of the team because I think Coach Hugo said that he just wanted to see Masindi together with Keletso, and then you would put someone like Masindi more or less, where maybe Yosipho Mbules would play, even though he can also be play as a six, but not as a deep six. But yeah, just maybe to answer your question, Projects, I don't think this match will actually define whether they do go to AFCON or they don't, to be quite honest. I think Hugo is still just giving them a chance to see them. He did also mention, I think, saying that I think it will be part of the World Cup. They will be part of maybe the consideration for the World Cup, but not for AFCON, because there are still names that are not part of Hugo's Bruce plans now. Players that I think he will still take at any given moment, because the likes of Darele, if he picks up forms in the next few games and actually shines, I think he will, he'll be part of the squad. So whether that leaves someone like Keletso, and also if Mdu continues to shine for Chiefs, I think domestically and on the continent, the CAF Confederations Cup, and then whether just leave Keletso. And I think we've got enough creative midfielders to actually say that Masindi has done enough to push someone like Sipombule aside, because we also have to be considering that on any other day, if you have someone as an anchor like Tebo Mukwena, then obviously we need someone who would be a bit creative and more explosive in front of him, and then that's what Mbule has been doing for Bafana over the last few months. So I don't think this will be a defining match for them to actually say that they do go to AFCON, unless of course there are other eventualities such as form or injuries. But I think just to see them closer, and also, just say that they're part of the bigger pool should anything happen to the players that are already, in his team now at the moment.
Yeah, but I mean, you're speaking of a starting lineup. I hear you speaking of players who are starting. I mean, we are taking more than 11 players. So if Ekelezo does well, if Masindi does well, the opportunity of being part of the squad is still there, isn't it?
I don't think where I'm coming from, Projects, honestly, because I think there's enough cover for the players that are starting, because it's just only two players, for instance. And also, you must remember that there's still someone like Ikram Reinas. Yes, he has been out of a starting bed at Sundown, because of Shalulu has been starting. But if it does well in the next few games, I think someone like Kelezo would obviously have to, be put aside. And as I've said with Masindi as well, I think they have enough backup players already ahead of him, instead of him just coming up and saying that he's fine to be one of the backup players. So I don't think this is a match that could possibly define whether they do go to AFCON or not, unless, of course, something drastic happens, because there are already enough players for the starting players to actually have cover for.
Yeah. Mr. Gibbs, we will go to the Nations Cup as one of the favorites, just based on what we did at the past one. But how do we, this match, are we seeing it as a match that we can use to say to the rest of the oppositions, we are the team to beat?
Well, when we talk about the starting 11, we must not forget that one of the things that Hugo Bruce is very concerned about is the world ranking. And that means he's going in with his best 11. Wants to win the match. That will improve the world ranking. That is uppermost in his mind. As the rest of the continent has already sat up and taken notice, we finished third at the last AFCON. We are a work in progress, and we've taken down some great teams in AFCON, and I think we've now earned the respect of everybody we'll be going up against, and we'll certainly be one of the favorites to win the title in Morocco.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Gibbs, I mean, I even saw you wrote the story about it, what Hugo Bruce spoke about in terms of we've got our under-20s doing very well, we've got our under-17s, and he's pushing that let's form an under-23 that will play regularly during FIFA weekends so that these boys get more practice. We don't lose them to the system, and it's historically, you've seen it over the years where our teams do well at the junior level, but these boys don't get to grow into the Bafana team. Are you agreeing with Bruce in terms of what he's calling for?
Yeah, look, you got to remember that Bruce was part of a working committee. A few years ago, they were chosen to see what can be done to improve Denmark. And at one stage, after their efforts, Denmark was number 1 in the world. So these people know what they're talking about. And there certainly isn't anybody in South Africa who does not have that sort of knowledge. Bruce's only problem is that no one is listening to him. and nobody's able to carry that out. There's no funds. Be great to have all these things in place, but really, nobody's listening. Nobody at SAFA is listening to Hugo Bruce. But I think it's all gems that he's it's all gems that he's giving to SAFA.
Yeah. I mean, that's very sad because I agree with you. A lot of the things that Hugo Bruce has raised make sense, and it comes from somebody who's got huge experience. Now, we have him essentially for the next 6-7 months, and if we are not going to implement what he's suggesting, we might find ourselves starting from scratch.
Yeah.
One of the suggestions Mihlali he has made was a Herman, who is his assistant, that let's consider him as somebody to take over. I've had a few players. I spoke to Lucas the other day. He says, look, Herman has done well, and if he's ready, why not? Is he the type of guy who can take over Bafana after Hugo Bruce?
Well, it's a bit tough to say, Projects, to be quite honest. Yeah, Hugo has mentioned the fact that he's not just someone there who's just dormant and just sitting and doing nothing. He's also vocal, and he's part of the decisions that are made in the team. But we've never had to see maybe a real Herman actually in action. And also the fact that he's still only now trying to push for his coaching qualifications may more or less put a spanner in the works. And yeah, in as much as I believe that we need someone who will actually continue where Bruce probably left off, but I don't think, for instance, that maybe Coach Herman is ready at this moment in time. I think if anything, that he can still remain as an assistant, whoever that comes in, and maybe with time, then whenever that maybe shown his readiness to actually lead the team, and then only then he can be thrown into the deep end now. Because obviously we must also remember these players are playing for maybe big teams, even as much as Bruce trying to widen the pool by getting everyone. And with whatever that they have, they need someone with a big personality, someone who can actually show that these are the way that things here are done. So those are things that we are yet to see of Coach Herman, in as much as Hugo believe that he's got what it takes to actually lead this pack. So I believe that maybe with other recommendations from Coach Hugo, people that maybe he trusts that can actually lead the project to a better place, I think we can actually go far. In as long as maybe we keep someone like Coach Herman, and then maybe for the foreseeable future, then he can be someone that comes and steps in. Because we do need someone with a strong personality, because I think that's what has driven Bafana over the years. Not someone who can be pushed around. I'm not saying Coach Herman will be pushed around, but we need someone who's actually...
Yeah, you're saying Herman is a lightweight. Look, I think I get you. If I were SAFA, I would actually say let Herman coach the under-23s and be assistant to the senior coach, because then that way you're giving him the international coaching experience that will then stand him in good stead. Mr. Gibbs, the big talking point has been, which it's always funny with us South Africans, that you always find that when a squad is announced, the big talking point becomes somebody who is not in the squad. Everybody has latched onto the Thembinkosi Lodge angle. He's scoring goals in Morocco. We are going to the Nations Cup in Morocco. He's an experienced player, and people are saying bring him in, especially with the potential of Themba Zwane not being there. But it looks like Coach Bruce is not going to do that. What's your view? I mean, just the other day, the SAFJA, we had an interview with Rulani Mokoena, and he was pushing. He says, look, of course, they respect Coach Hugo Bruce's decisions, but he believes Lodge can push his way in, just like Themba Zwane made Coach Hugo Bruce change his mind about him.
Yeah, no, I share that view with Rulani, because last week, D-Line, we also discussed this, and I said to him, he's got to select himself, meaning he must put up a performance that will force Bruce to bring him into the side. We saw that with Themba Zwane. Bruce had reservations. Then he put in a few commanding performances for Sundowns, and then he found his way back in. And once he was back in, he justified his selection. I think that Bruce is entitled to his views, and we've got to respect him because he's proved himself. But I think that if Lodge carries on with this type of performance, I think Rulani is on the button there.
Now, I mean, let's look at the match now. Are we going to win this match? Are we going to win it convincingly?
I can't see us losing this match. Look, Zambia, they they've only just acquired a coach. There must have been some problems now with the coach leaving, getting the squad together again. They're playing 2 matches, so I think we are better prepared. Even though we started off with starting the weekend with the hotel and what you call it, and the training ground. I think we're ready now. We're at home. We got the advantage. All the indications are it will be a packed house. We'll have the crowd behind us. And we know that crowd are there, very passionate. You know, last time after Bafana scored 2 goals, the people couldn't contain themselves.
Yeah.
And one idiot ran onto the field. And the match was held up for 10 minutes. So, I mean, it's a big day there for these people in the Eastern Cape. They starved of big-time soccer. They've got to contend with Chipper United all the time. That's the bottom team in the PSL. So you can imagine the entertainment that these people suffer week after week.
Yeah.
So with Bafana coming to town, they're in for a treat. They're in for a treat, boys.
Yeah. Mihlali?
Yeah, no, I think I share Mr. Gibbs' sentiments, you know, that we should actually do well as a team. And obviously, hopefully there will be enough security to contain that excitement that happened when we played. I think when we thrashed, I think it was Benin 5-0, if I'm not mistaken. And then we had some people walk onto the field. But yeah, I think, but also another thing is that we must not underestimate Zambia, in as much as they've, you know, had their own challenges with coaches and all that, because these COSAFA neighbors, they tend to actually, you know, get to a second gear whenever they play us. We're still against Zimbabwe. We thought that, you know, we'd all wrap up our qualifiers in that clash, but, you know, they had to trick up their sleeves. So we need to go there. And like I share the sentiments that, you know, Coach Hugo will probably start with his best foot forward and actually get his regulars first and then see whatever he can tweak and change in the second half. But we need to win this game, obviously. And that will, you know, give us a very big push ahead of the camp and also the squad announcement early next month. But it's important also to actually perform and play convincingly, because we've had, you know, games where we've won, but you would feel that we had, it was an okay performance, you know. But up until our last game, I think against Rwanda, we're clinical. We knew that we needed to win that game, and we did that convincingly. So we need such a performance. And against our neighbors, you know, here in the COSAFA region, we need to show that, you know, who's boss. I mean, who's at the World Cup now? I mean, so it's one of those things. And by the way, Projects, you owe me, because I said that in 2026 we qualify for the World Cup, and then you said something and then something. So I need to cash in like soon.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
Well,
I'll pay you.
I must add on to what Mihlali is saying, because this Zambian team, this squad that they're bringing on tour here, includes 16 overseas-based players. And we know with these international teams, when the internationals join them, they don't need much. They can get going. They can turn a match on his head. They're used to playing in leagues far tougher than what we play here in the PSL.
Yeah.
So they have a great presence about them. So anything can happen. But while we're busy with this, I must tell you, we've got 5 minutes left on this podcast.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I just wanted us to actually just look forward a bit. But we will do this in the next show as well. But there's this excitement now of the inter-club competitions. We've got Kaizer Chiefs going into the CAF Confederation Cup. The big one, Lupopo visiting Mamelodi Sundowns. I mean, I saw Mr. Mukoko coming over, and then there's the Rulani. Just your outlook on our inter-club competitions. How do you foresee in general? We've seen the draw. What's your anticipation?
Well, we can depend on Sundowns. They've proved themselves. Chiefs, we don't know. Anything can happen. Stellenbosch, they're really battling, but they seem to find their feet on the continental stage. And then who's the other team? Or one more team, but only the three.
Yeah.
Only the 3 teams. Well, you know, just thinking ahead of my time, because there's so much talk that Pirates will eventually come in by default.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mihlali will be throwing the bones this weekend to make sure his team is in there, because he's been following those Congos with his team for a long time.
Yeah. Look, I mean, just quickly, Mr. Gibbs, Stellenbosch, what's wrong there? Because as you say, they did well to make it into the group stages, but they just are not getting going.
The staff there tells me that they're creating goals, they're playing well, but they're just not scoring goals. But the big criticism is from the public is that they've sold a lot of players and they haven't replaced the players with quality. And this is now coming back to bite them.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see if Baleka can turn this around. Most football clubs, when that happens, they start by axing the coach.
The coach, yeah.
But I don't think this can happen this time because I don't think Baleka has ever been happy with all these players going, although he will tell you that we would like to see the players progress. But every time one of the big stars go, it means they've got to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And this time, they've really been scratching around to get points near at the bottom of the log with the Chipper United.
Yeah. Gents, I mean, thank you so much. I mean, look, let's see what happens this weekend. I agree with you guys. I think Bafana should win. A good test for a lot of the players. Let's see how Coach Hugo Bruce shapes up. But I think, as he says, this is not a friendly. We are going to win. And yeah, Mihlali, please send a message to the Eastern Cape. No running onto the pitch, no matter the scoreline.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Until next time, over and out.
We will get. I don't know.
Sharp.
Yeah, they must have a proper security.
Yeah. Okay. Cheers, gents. Yeah, this was the D-Line brought to you by The Clutch at Independent Media. It was myself, Brad Jakes, standing in for the great Malibongwe and Mihlali Baleka, the chief, as well as the great Mr. Herman Gibbs, the legend. Thank you so much for joining us.